It's time to answer one of the most asked questions on my forum, which is how do you write a Spotify playlist pitch that actually gets you on an editorial playlist? And with good reason, since editorial playlists are the #1 mover of nobody to somebody in music today. But while many musicians know how to make a great song, they're absolutely clueless on how to talk about themselves in a way that would excite anyone about their music. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to write a Spotify playlist pitch that does your song justice. Hi, I'm Jesse Cannon and this is Musformation. The saddest thing that could happen to an early thriving music career today is to write an amazing song and then pitch it to Spotify with, I was delivered pizzas and then it came to me to write a song about the girl I delivered to, and let me tell you, my dude, this shit slaps. So this video, I'm going to tell you every bit of knowledge you need to know on how to game this system while not wasting your time. So let's get started. First, let's remember you have a window of 28 to 7 days to get considered for these playlists. Since you have little chance as it is with all the competition out there, I would take the longer end of that and try to submit it 4 weeks in advance if possible. But before we even start talking about pitching, I want to make sure you watch my first video on promoting yourself on Spotify. And I'm not saying this to promote myself, it's because it is important information that will get you disqualified from playlist consideration if you don't follow it. The short story is, Spotify values promoting people who make them look good. So they want to make sure that you do all the right things to your profile that keep their users engaged instead of heading here to YouTube. Okay, so let's assume you watched that video now. Let's first hope you have a clue what makes you special. When I was younger in the music business, I can remember my friend Ben Weinman from the Dillinger Escape Plan told me the reason he managed his own band, even though they were huge and tons of people would want to manage them, is no one knew how to sell his band as well as him. I will be honest, despite respecting Ben immensely, I thought he was out of his mind and maybe he hit his head one time when he jumped off something high on a stage. But if there's one lesson I've learned over the years, and that is he is exactly right. Knowing what makes you special and how to sell it to other people is what opens doors for musicians. I would even argue a lesson I've learned is when I wonder why a mediocre band gets bigger than another band that's just as mediocre as them, more times than not, that band that's getting better opportunities is better at selling themselves. While many people perceive this as connections, there's some truth to that, but the sell I think has become more and more important in recent years, and Wise Old Ben has been proven right that the crucial skill of your manager or whoever handles your music is knowing how to spin this sell and tell a story about why you are exceptional. This goes tenfold for what we're about to do here in pitching your music. So before you even pass go here, I need you to figure out what is exciting about you. Because this is where these pitches fail, even when the music is good. More often than not, the pitches Spotify gets are,
we fucking rock! Just listen to our track. This shit will get your fist pumping like Pauly D after a few monsters, pimp.
Sorry. So let's say you have no clue what makes you exciting or unique, but you now feel like hitting stop on this video. Thankfully, to keep up my good rates on YouTube, I have to keep you from doing that, so let me give you some great advice. There's no one better at telling stories when there isn't much there than music writers. Fun fact, many of the great music bios you may have seen on Spotify are written by one, a label person / manager who was a music writer at some point, has read so many of these bios they know the game inside or out and write a great one. Or two, a music writer who needs money, who does this on the side and doesn't take credit for it, but takes a check to their bank account discreetly. You need to be able to tell people something exciting about you, first off, in your Spotify bio, which up to Wikipedia is the #1 place people read a musician's story. And two, being able to then take that exciting part of the story down to 500 characters to excite these playlist curators is one of the most important things you can do for your music. So you need to pay one of those two people or find someone else who's a good storyteller to figure out what is exciting about you and how you're going to put that into your Spotify playlist pitch and your biography on Spotify. Okay, time for a reality check though. Remember in this game that you're about to play here, the big players in this like each major label and then the indies like Red Eye, The Orchard, STEM, United Masters, Cobalt, all have employees pitching individually through account reps that they are buying drinks for and dinners for favors to get features on these playlists. How do I know this? I'm out there getting these drinks with these people and getting drunk with them because I'm in the music business in Brooklyn and this is what we do. Also, let's be real here. My girlfriend works in the streaming music business, and how could I turn her down to do this alone and not milk these people for content for this channel? I mean, I could never do that to her. So you're probably wondering, if all these free drinks the curators are bought need to be paid back in the form of placements, how are you ever going to get one? Thankfully, Spotify lets a bunch of you through the gate, because what is better advertising than when you are telling the story of how you blew up up, and it's through their playlists. As well, we have to remember they're in competition with Apple Music, and they're trying to be hipper than them, which is basically a given. But when Spotify is able to stay hip, they know that you're more likely to keep using them if they show you all the hip new great music you want to hear. Since every other streaming service has the exact same songs, well, one thing they can offer is curation. So that's why you have a chance, is because they might see you as an opportunity to be that hip artist that keeps somebody subscribing to their service. Okay, back to business. Let's say you now know who you are, and we now have 500 characters, which is like 2 tweets to tell an exciting story, and we want to do that before we move forward. So what is exciting about you? What makes you unique and different than other artists in your genre? If you can't answer that, you were probably dead in the water, just like I said before. So let's figure that out. The idea that they're going to be thinking that if you write, "We're 4 dudes from Kalamazoo who love hanging and banging, you feel me, dog?" is not going to get past all the other submissions. You feel me, dog? So I've talked enough about this exciting thing, but that should be the first thing that you do in your opening sentence, is tell somebody why you're unique. The next thing we need to do is use cosigns to get them excited. If you have any amazing quotes about you from someone influential in the genre, use them. Have you been featured in prominent blogs, magazines, radio DJs, or most of all, other Spotify playlists in the genre? Let's make sure those are in there. Let's always remember, big playlists pick up artists from small playlists, and those cosigns are important. Let's also remember ex-members of bands, label names you're affiliated with, if you work with a big producer has big credits. All of these help curators know that you're in the genre and know the genre's keywords. Speaking of that, you need to know your community and niche. This is why I stress knowing your community so much, and yes, there's a video linked right here for that now if you don't know how to figure that out. And it's also in the description. Look through all the playlists in your genre and type in every keyword around your genre so you know them. Is there micro-genres that you fall into? Make sure to use community genre buzzwords. For example, I'm really into this subgenre called hyperpop. It has its own editorial playlist on Spotify. The artists on this playlist are also known as being in other genres like bubblegum bass, PC music, or lo-fi pop. If you use these identifiers in your pitch, you show the creator you know the scene and speak the lingo that goes shockingly far in your pitch. If there's particular playlist terms in your genre, use them. Don't just say though, "Put me on Rap Caviar and you know what's up." That's not gonna work. Also remember that your plays need to be decent. And what I mean by that is what I discussed in the last video I put out about building momentum with each single. Yet again, not to be a commercial for myself, but seriously watch that or you're missing a big part of this game. But here's the TLDR. You're never gonna get on any of these playlists if your last song had 0 plays or this is the first song you've ever released. The only people who get that privilege are the people who are on those distributors I talked about before, who have people buying these curators drinks. That's not for you, and sorry, I don't make the rules. Anyway, if your numbers suck, submit anyway, and try your hand, but remember, consider which order you release your singles in it. Try to build momentum up and pitch your best songs later so you have legs to stand on when you're pitching those really strong tracks. As well with this momentum, they want to see you've been active recently, especially if they check your social media. Remember, these curators have a full dashboard that shows them the profile, if you're a good citizen on Spotify, and if it's being updated regularly, since you connect your socials on Spotify for artists so they can clearly see if you don't really push yourself. They can also see your followers and pre-saves, so consider working your socials to keep building those up and building momentum. So make sure you have been active if this is a Hail Mary pitch. But remember, the best pitch is how well your last single did every single time. Okay, so let's say we have that pitch written. Now what I want you to do is show it to people and then rewrite it 5 different ways.
Okay, yeah, let me stop the video right here because I could already see you being like, there's no way in hell I've graduated high school and now I'm going to write a Spotify pitch 5 different ways. I'm beyond that, dog. The reason you need to do this is because every one of those distributors and major labels, those artists have a team. They have a manager, an A&R person, a marketing person, someone at the label, the publicist. We're all going through these things and figuring out who this artist is. So not only are you going to write it 5 different ways, you're also then going to show it to a couple of trusted people, and they're going to push back at you and tell you other ways you could say these things. And you're going to do this because you want this to come out good. It's good for you to hear if people are actually getting excited about what you're saying and if this message is resonating, because it will give you the advantages that all these other artists have. Okay, you can go now.
Just remember also, a tiny bit of exaggeration in selling is good. Don't let the outside eyes convince you to be modest. Be excited and slightly oversell yourself. Now that we have that in your back pocket, let's open Spotify for Artists and click that upcoming tab and submit it for consideration.
So the first thing you need to do is choose a genre, and it may be helpful to look around some of the playlists that you may want to be on and consider genres if you border on some of the different ones, and really think about this strategically for a little while. After this, the different choices you have will be genre specific. You next need to choose a style, and going for what's most popular isn't always the move. There's lots of different moves, so you should yet again know your playlist landscape. Since you can choose up to 2, I would always do so, but if it's a total lie, don't waste the curator's time and click on something that's not appropriate for the music because they're just going to skip you. Choose 2 moods and 2 song styles, but you don't always need to choose a culture if you don't feel comfortable with it. The location is also an important nit, since Spotify is really going in on location-based playlists right now. I see them popping up more and more, so if you have a choice of where to identify as an artist by location, whether it's your hometown or a city you border, make sure you do some research and see if they're going hard on the playlists around your local area. Lastly, now we paste your pitch.
So let's say you failed, you don't get any playlists, and you are now wondering if all that work was for naught. It wasn't. You now know so much more about yourself and how to pitch yourself for tons of other things. You should also keep pushing yourself and putting out singles so you build momentum to set up your next release. Keep in mind, you can use a nearly identical pitch, but I would always tweak something small each time specific to the song. Do everything you can to get more follows and build up those metrics so that the next pitch goes through well. I highly suggest watching part 2 of my guide to Spotify playlist promotion to learn how to build up your follows and make yourself more enticing the next time. That's linked in the card right now or below. I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Am I missing anything? Is there any other way you would have done this? I need to know your questions and what no one else is telling you, since I want to answer them, so leave them in the comments, since I answer every comment in every post. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, and get notified. And I'm going to be breaking down the concepts in this video along with how to promote your music and how to make songs you're happy with in the future. I have a Facebook group linked below that is only helpful information. No playlist or con artists, only artists having helpful discussions allowed. If you want to learn more about me, work on a record with me, or check out any of my books, podcasts, or anything else I do, go to jessecannon.com or at jessecannon on all the socials. One last thing, there's 2 playlists here. One is on how to grow your fan base from 0 to 10,000 fans, and the other is specially chosen to match this video. Or you can hit the subscribe button below and stay tuned as I have tons of tips for musicians.